Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 15 of season 2 of our F1 2020 My Team career mode, where today we're here back ready for the Singapore Grand Prix. Obviously if you missed out on yesterday's video, you know what to do. Click the eye at the top right hand side of your screen, so there'll be a link to the full playlist from this series. But yeah, we're now into the final third of season 2. We've just got 8 races to go here of F1 2021. In air quotes, heading into this weekend. We've still got to try and save a few more R&D points. We desperately need cash if we want to try and upgrade our facilities a bit more. Obviously, we're looking to try and upgrade the powertrain side of things first. So we might be able to get another upgrade on another department, perhaps. No, all the other upgrades are 5 mil at the moment. But we need about 10-15 million if we want to be able to get some level 3 upgrades as well. So we're just going to try and farm out the last few upgrades. We've only got like 7 left on the car, I think, that we can do at the moment. And we'll try and get some of those upgrades done on the side of things as well, obviously, for the facilities. So plenty of sort of forward planning at the moment. Speaking of forward planning, we're going to try and put mainly a fresh engine in the car ready for this weekend. We'll just go with the lowest wear parts that we've got so far. Let's just see what is... We'll go with number 3 on there. So we should have a pretty fresh engine now ready for the weekend as well. Let's dive into free practice then here from the Temple of Speed at Monza. Coming into the Italian Grand Prix weekend, I'll be honest, if last year doesn't fill us with confidence, I don't really know what will. We got a very, very good package down the straights. We also discovered that obviously last time out at the Belgian Grand Prix, the car was still incredibly quick through Sector 1 and Sector 3. But yeah, just can't help but feel, you know, sort of quietly confident heading into this weekend's race. However, it is a full wet Grand Prix, so that obviously might spice things up a little bit. We will have to put a little bit more aero on after qualifying. But yeah, hopefully this weekend can be a good one. Coming down into the final corner then of our qualifying simulation run. This should be us done then with qualifying as we head out of the final corner. We're only just going to beat it. As you can see, there are 118.8, so quite happy with that. So free practice done and dusted then, and basically another 1,000 R&D points on the board should allow us another smaller upgrade on to the car. Yeah, we're just trying to keep it consistent, and we're also starting to get a little bit worried. Obviously, we've got a lot of upgrades now on the car. If by some miracle we end up with 3 sectors rule changes, we might be a bit screwed heading into season 3. So back at the garage then, we should be able to get one more upgrade on the car. We can either go with the redesigned brake ducts or the tyre blankets. I think this time around we'll actually go with... How are you meant to get that one? Let's not worry about that at the moment. Yeah, we will go though with the tyre blankets. 875 R&D points. That should be ready, I think, after the Singapore Grand Prix next time out. Anyway, let's dive in then to qualifying. So heading out then into Q1, I'm hoping this weekend everything is a little bit more plain sailing. Obviously, a wet race, it's very much predicted to be still, so I'm probably not going to worry about trying to go for alternate tyre strats or anything like that to try and get us through into Q3. Obviously, it basically won Hamilton last time out to race back at Belgium. But anyway, down in towards turn 1, right just before the 100-metre board, 215 miles an hour, down to about, well, 40 or 50 in not very long at all. Coming down then in towards the final corner of our opening lap. Hopefully, yeah, like I said, we've got through nice and tidily on a set of the softs. Alex Albon currently goes quickest, which probably isn't that good of an idea of a banker lap in all honesty. We do a 119.1 between Gasly and Latifi. Not ideal. In towards the final couple of corners then of our second run. You can see we're already well over a second up on our previous lap, so we should be able to comfortably come through the final couple of corners and find a lot more time and get ourselves nicely through into Q2. It's going to be a 1 minute 17, a 1:17.8, less than a tenth of Vettel in, well, top of Q1. So Q1 done and dusted then, and yeah, no real changes at the end of the session there. I don't think there's many too big surprises. Lando Norris, Pierre Gasly, both Haas and both Williams out in Q1. Red Bull get both cars through into Q2 again. Nice to see by them. But yeah, no real big surprises, I think, looking up and down the field. Monza generally doesn't create that many crazy headlines in this series. Most of the car's power units are pretty even. Coming into Q2 then, we're only gonna give ourselves one shot to try and make it through into the third and final qualifying session then here for the Italian Grand Prix. No one into the 17s just yet in this second session, so hopefully we can try and just get ourselves up and fastest. Down in towards the final couple of corners of Q2 then. Kvyat currently on at 18.79 is the time. Well, we need to be a bit quicker than him. Through the final turn we go. Hopefully we'll be back down into the 17s once again. Yes, a 17.7 that time round. Just finding another 10th here or there. Potentially, we could be on for pole here, I think for the first time since, what, the Canadian Grand Prix? Oh, okay, yeah, that pole position that I spoke about might not be so possible. Hamilton, a 17.4 at the end of Q2. That is monstrous pace by the Mercedes. But yeah, both of those guys, both Ferraris, both of us. And then we got one Racing Point, one Alpha Tauri, one Alfa Romeo, and one Renault into Q3 there. Both Red Bulls, Esteban Ocon, Matsushita, Perez and Sainz out in Q2. Stroll always goes well at qualifying here. But yeah, we've got two shots at this then in Q3. Let's not waste them. Here we go then, ready for our first run in Q3. Hopefully we can try and set a good high 17 banker once again, and then see what the AI are capable of. You never quite know what Mercedes are going to pull out right in the dying stages of qualifying nowadays. But we've got a nice clean track ahead of us as well. Things you love to see. Breaking down into turn 1 just before the 100 board. Taking a lot of curb through the second part of the corner, but no wheel spin on the exit. And that is absolutely critical to try and find time around this Autodromo Internazionale di Monza. Anyway, down in towards the second chicane. Brake once again just at the 100 board. This time around you want to take a bit more curb. Not making the best run through there though. See, we were purple in sector 1, but I think we've thrown away a bit of time in this middle sector through the Lesmos. Yeah, really not getting the car where we need it through the second part there. That's going to cost us a little bit of time, so I think, to be honest, this first lap might be a low 18 depending on the run we get down into the infamous Ascari chicane. A lot of curb on the entry, being a bit cheeky there, I'll be honest, but we get a nice tidy run on the exit there, down in towards Parabolica, the final corner then of a very, very quick lap from the Italian Grand Prix circuit. Brake just at the end of the Astro, just before the 50-metre board, and then try to get on the power as early as you dare. Use that exit curb if you need to. Shortest run to the line. It's going to be as 18.036 even in the end there, so 1/10 off roughly where we need to be. That time can definitely be found. We've got one more shot. Let's try and nail it. Here we go then, one final chance at pole position here, ready for the Italian Grand Prix. Hopefully we can absolutely nail this lap and see what we're capable of here. Bottas currently, I think, on provisional pole on a 17.8, so we definitely can go quicker than that, but we're going to have to absolutely nail it. Sweat mode is probably going to be needed for our final lap here at Monza. Way too much curb on the entry into 1, but it should open up the exit through into 2. No wheel spin off the exit, so we have found a little bit of time through the first couple of corners there in the end. The gearbox takes such a pounding around this place, just trying to cycle down those gears as quickly as we dare. Down into the second chicane, a little bit cautious on the entry. Ooh, a lot of gravel on the exit. We get away with that though, somehow, this time round. Not the best run through the first Lesmo. Let's see if we can get the second one right this time round though. Yes, a lot better than our first run through, and you can see now we're 2/10 up on my previous lap. However, we need to try and nail Ascari this time around if we want to find a little bit more time. Once again, trying to attack the curbs on the way in. Way too much curb, though, on the exit. A big, big wobble. We actually get a warning for track limits there, and we're just throwing away time as we head down in towards the final corner of the lap. Let's try and absolutely nail Ascari down into fourth gears early on the power as we dare. We're going to be just under 2/10 up as we head towards the start-finish line here. It's going to be a 1:17.850, and it is provisional pole by just a few thousandths of a second over Valtteri Bottas. Verstappen, though, a 17.4 in the end to snatch our hopes away from us rather quickly in the end. We'll wait and see what everyone else is able to do as they come down towards the final corner. Russell able to join us now on the second row as Hamilton goes quicker. Bottas a 17.2. Where are they finding this time? I think it's P4 in the end. Well, here we are then, the grid ready for the Italian Grand Prix. Bottas there, a 1:17.2 is, yeah, just ridiculous to get around a 3.6 mile circuit at the end of the day. Verstappen, though, joins him on the front row for Ferrari. I'm sure they desperately want a good race out this weekend. Hamilton in third, we, though, starting fourth place for the second year running around this Italian Grand Prix circuit. So maybe, just maybe, we have got a trick up our sleeve this weekend. Sebastian Vettel in the end did actually split myself and George Russell. And you can see Charles Leclerc, best of the rest there, ahead of Raikkonen, Stroll and Kvyat. We've got 27 laps ahead of us in what is meant to be a rather soggy Monza circuit. Let's dive into it.
We're back in Italy once again for another round of the Formula One World Championship. And what a great race is in store for us today here at the oldest circuit on the calendar. Monza hosted its first race all the way back in 1922. With the rain coming down here at the 3.6 mile Monza circuit, the low drag setups preferred by most teams could cause them some problems in today's Grand Prix. So watch out for cars struggling for grip around Parabolica, the last and most demanding of this track's 11 corners. Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix. Let's talk about Mr. Monaco. That was a great podium in the last race, so can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs, so it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Mr. Monaco, Sebastian Vettel, and Russell, Leclerc, Raikkonen, Stroll, and Daniel Kvyat, Sainz, Perez, Alexander Albon, and Matsushita, Ocon, Ricciardo, Lando Norris, and Pierre Gasly, Magnussen, De Vries, Latifi, and Jordan King. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Fantastic podium result at the last race. Let's see if we can do it again today.
So here we are then on the grid, ready for the Italian Grand Prix, and yeah, a very, very soggy racetrack ahead of us for this weekend's race. 27 laps, and it's looking like it's just meant to be intermediate conditions from start to finish here. If we get away without a safety car, maybe still we can have a good, quick race today. But we're going to up the front wing angle to up to 4, just to try and give us a little bit of a helping hand in race trim here. Hopefully we can just keep it nice and clean and tidy off the start and see if we can get the jump, obviously, on our main title rival, Valtteri Bottas, who finds himself once again on pole position. Like I said in the last one, we just need to start just beating him every single week, just building up a good points tally and seeing if we can get anything more out of him before the end of the year. But we're ready then on the grid for the Italian Grand Prix, and an historic race last year, one very, very close to our hearts. It's 5 red lights, and it's lights out, and away we go, getting off to a good little start in the end, trying to avoid the wheel spin as much as possible, and that's exactly what we've done. Bottas comes to the inside to cover everyone off in towards turn 1. Verstappen tries to give it a bit of a squeeze there as we have yellow flags out just through the Constantina and up, but we've done it straight up then into P2 of this Grand Prix there, so that's been a perfect little start for ourselves. We were 3 wide going into the first corner, but we held firm on the inside, and yeah, up straight away, taking a bit of a gamble, but we can't afford to let Bottas break away in the early laps here. Coming towards the end of lap 1 then, Bottas basically a second ahead of us as we reach the final corner here. I'm going to bring back the brake bias ever so slightly. That should hopefully help us out as we start lap 2 here. But yeah, we just can't afford to let Bottas break away, like I said in this Grand Prix. We need to try and keep at him and try and see if we can apply some pressure here, as well as trying to keep the tyres in good nick. Maybe we'll get a bit lucky if we get a safety car. Pretty much matching Bottas's time then at the end of lap 2. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. I probably should have put a little bit more rich revs or spare fuel in the car, even I should have said. But yeah, we're just trying to settle down and see if we can match Bottas consistently. End of lap 3. Bottas has started to make a couple of little mistakes here and there as he sets a new fastest lap. We go quite a few tenths quicker in the end this time round, as George, yeah, seems to be struggling a bit behind Charles Leclerc in the early stages of this race. We really do need George battling right up towards the front week in, week out if we want to be trying to challenge Mercedes for a Constructors' Championship. As a nice kick of oversteer at the first corner. But yeah, we definitely have now got the pace, though, to hassle Bottas in this race. Pulling/dragging each other along at the moment here. We've already now got a 3.5 second margin over Max Verstappen behind us here, but I'm just a little bit worried. We can stick with Bottas rather nicely. Getting around him, though, might be a very, very difficult challenge, because the Mercedes, very, very quick down the straights. We unfortunately used a bit too much ERS that lap as well. You can see just how much that costs us out of the final corner. But yeah, we need to be able to get close right when it matters. Just trying to suss out where Bottas is weak at the moment, and I'll be honest, he seems to mainly struggle into this braking zone. Not the easiest place to overtake, though, in the wet conditions. We just seem to be able to get right under Bottas's rear wing at the moment, and then we get the dirty air, and then we just seem to slot back in. So we're just hovering between sort of 3 and 7 tenths of a second behind him at the moment. See if we can try and force an error out of the Mercedes, but that is much easier said than done at the moment. We're really putting Bottas under a test, though. If he hangs on to this, he's certainly worthy of a World Championship, but we're only on lap 8, 20 to go still here from Monza. Let's just see what happens. We're now just sort of debating as we head on to lap 10 whether we try and go for a bit of an undercut on Valtteri here. We'll see how well the tyres hang on for the next couple of laps, but whether it's just we pit, say, lap 12 rather than lap 13, that's all over the back of him through the first couple of corners. If we can get it hooked up on the exit, we might be able to get a bit of a run this time round. A lot of wheel spin despite being pretty much in 6th gear there as we head out of the first couple of corners. We are all over the back, though, of the Mercedes. Bottas is going to have to go defensive. Our first chance at a move. We lock up all 4 brakes, but we get the car stopped. We keep it between the white lines. Bottas, though, is going to be able to get a run off the exit there. Are we going to be able to hook it up round the outside as we head through the first of the Lesmos? Hopefully we can. Bottas, though, keeps the nose there. A little bit of contact between the pair of us, but we do hang out on top. We lose a lot of time, though, to Verstappen behind us, but we are now up into the lead of the Italian Grand Prix for the first time today. So what's happened to Bottas all of a sudden? Maybe there was a little bit of front wing damage to him, or he's just really burnt out his tyres. But we're already starting to pull away a little bit of a gap over the Mercedes man here. Maybe he's just struggling a bit more in the dirty air than we had been. But yeah, nice to see for ourselves that we have now got a bit of pace over Valtteri here. I'm intrigued to know when he's going to pit. Jeff has recently been talking about the soft compounded tyres, or the dries even, I should say, in this race. Obviously, he's saying it's certainly not dry enough yet to be considering them, but the track is definitely starting to clear up just a little bit more here. It is still raining, however, so we certainly aren't going to take any big gambles. We'll probably pit the end of the next lap, as that's not really track limits. Come on, FIA, give us a break. To me, that now the track's starting to get a little bit dry. You can see it's not as overcast. Really starting to play into our hands a whole lot more, as yeah, the gap to Bottas just opening up. That won't have helped us, though. A 3-second time penalty. If we get a late race safety car, that might completely screw us here, but at the moment we've got 6 seconds over Bottas. We just need to be a bit more careful on the exit of Ascari, it appears. We're going to dive in, though, end of this lap, onto another set of the the intermediate compounded tyres. Are we going to see anyone else in? No. Top 3 stay out. Hamilton's in those, as well as Vettel. So Bottas and Verstappen out going another lap in this Grand Prix. Don't think, obviously, George better not dive it in as well. I've got no idea where George actually is at the moment in this Grand Prix, but hopefully we come out in at least some clear air. Not in too much traffic, as we get a lot of wheel spin. Actually skimming the Armco as we head out of the pit lane. Let's stay out ahead of Danny Kvyat as we come into turn 1. Should just about be able to do that. Yes, we hold on ahead of the AlphaTauri And we've got Stroll just in front of us as well. Hopefully these guys won't cost us too much time on the outlap. Pretty much instantly all over the back of Lance Stroll. Hopefully we'll get him on the run down into Ascari. We've just got a little bit more grip, obviously, on these new tyres. So hopefully now, slow in fast out, use up all the exit curb because we can. Using rich revs, ERS as well. We're not actually gaining that much on the racing point. Yeah, we're not going to be close enough to go for anything down into Ascari. So we'll have to stay back just for now. Try and get a good run on the exit. Make sure, obviously, we don't run wide. That's how we get away with it. Stroll, though, he's aware of us there. We're going to have a look to the outside. We should be past him before we get into the corner. Racing point, yeah, luckily for us, Stroll being sensible. He's got his own race to play. Just bails out of that into the braking zone there, and we do move ourselves back up into 6th. Most of the top runners into the pits, though. So we should hold on to our race lead as we go purple through the final sector. I think we've pulled out even bigger of a margin, as I think Valtteri has been undercut, well, jumped in the pit lane by Verstappen. Hamilton's got round him as well, out on track, so it really hasn't been good for Bottas. He's down to 5th place in this Grand Prix. I reckon he had a front wing change. I reckon he ended up with damage from the battle we had with him. Not really a lot we could have done. It was just aggressive racing, but now we've got an 8-second lead at the front of this field. We've got 13 laps to go here from Monza. Let's just get our head down and focus. New fastest lap of the race. We got a 2-1-2 in there as well. Things you love to see. Down into the 27s now. We're just finding more and more time lap after lap at this stage of the day. We're just enjoying the car at the moment. Well, that's 4, 5 fastest laps in a row now. We really are just settling down into a good little groove at the moment, but still 9 laps to go of this Grand Prix. Name a more iconic duo than the 2-2 Motorsport cars at a soggy Monza. It just seems to be a match made in heaven.
Race, keep this up.
There's definitely a 26 in there at the moment. That'll probably be, once we get a 26, then I'll just bring it home nice and tidily here. But yeah, just fastest lap after fastest lap at the moment. The pace is really, really good in the car. They're opening up the gap as well to the guys behind. Bottas, remember, just 10 laps ago we were battling him. Now we're 23 seconds ahead of him on the same strategy in this race. It really has just started to fall into place for ourselves. Oh, we got yellow flags out. Someone's going slowly on the run down towards turn 1. It's one of the Williams cars who might be out of this race as we head into the final couple of corners. Don't give us a late race safety car, I beg, Codemasters. Nicholas Latifi's out, and we've got a full safety car.
We need to form up at a reduced pace.
Don't know if we should have pit or what, I'll be honest. We're going to come out ahead of the safety car as well. So, do we pit onto another set of inters, or do we just stay out here and try and get to the flag? That 3-second time penalty might really screw us now. We've got 20 seconds to the cars behind me. May as well just pit in this lap and then enjoy some fresh rubber to the end of this Grand Prix. It's probably only going to be a 1 or 2 lap safety car though. So, let's just see if we can try and get in and out of the pits. Only just get it stopped on the way in, but hopefully we might actually get undercut here, so I'm a little bit worried about that. We might get jumped, sorry, even I should say, down in the pit lane, so we might need a bit of a miracle at the end of this Grand Prix. Hopefully it all doesn't fall apart right at the very end. Another 3-second stop. I think we're just about going to stay out in the lead of this race. Here comes Hamilton. No, we don't. Hamilton gets past us, so does Verstappen. So not ideal then. We're going to have about 3 laps to go with this race, and we're going to have to try and make up 2 places and build up a 3-second margin. But we do have fresh rubber to attack. 2 laps to go then of the Italian Grand Prix, and what looked to be a dominant display for ourselves is very, very quite probably going to get absolutely taken away from us right at the very end. We're going to need 2 qualifying style laps. We need to try and get past both Verstappen and Hamilton here out of the final corner. Come on, Verstappen, get on with it. What is Verstappen doing? Come on, get on with it. We need to be there. We need to be ready. It's going to be green flag racing once again here at the Italian Grand Prix pretty much now. And look at that, we have got a good run on the Ferrari of Verstappen as we head down in towards turn 1. Hamilton's going to give us a slipstream as we head down into the first corner. We should have a little bit more grip than the Ferrari, and we do get straight back round in. We've got yellow flags out just behind us, but we can absolutely take no prisoner at the moment. We've got fresh rubber over the guys around us that are on 15 lap old inters, so we should be a lot quicker once we get these up to temperature. Down in towards the second chicane. Hopefully we can try and get close to Hamilton, taking as much curb as we dare, trying to enjoy all the extra grip that we've got. Down into the first Lesmo. Really, we need to get past him as soon as possible here. Maybe down into Parabolica if we get a good run. Don't think we're going to be able to get the run this time round, but we are certainly going to be gaining in on him as we head down in towards Ascari. Are we going to be able to do anything? No, not quite close enough to go for a send this time round. So we're probably going to have one lap to go here to try and build up the margin over Lewis Hamilton. I cannot believe the way this race has fallen away from us right at the very end. But the most important thing is that we finished 3 seconds ahead of Bottas here. That's what we should be focusing on. Out onto the final lap of this Italian Grand Prix. We've still got so much spare fuel in the car. Nowhere near enough ERS though, however. We're going to lose a lot as we head down towards turn 1. Bottas still 1.8 behind us. Going to have to use all the ERS that we've got on this final lap. Breaking down into turn 1, taking so much curb through that first corner. Can we try and get the traction on the exit this time round? No, we clip the grass. Once again, it's all going away from us right at the end of this race. Bottas 2.2 behind us now. Can we potentially try and get something done on Hamilton or push him along to the checkered flag here? Taking so much curb once again through the second part of the second chicane. They're down into Lesmo 1 for the final time. Nicholas Latifi, I'm not your biggest fan, I'll be honest, mate. You have completely screwed us today through the second Lesmo, though we have got good traction that time around. We have got good pickup. As we head down in towards Ascari, we should be able to go for the send on Lewis Hamilton. Up the inside we go. He does give us a big squeeze, take a lot of curb on the entry though. But we have made the move work, and we are up back into the lead of this Grand Prix. But it isn't going to be good enough at the end of the day here. One more corner to go here from Monza, and I cannot believe it has all come away from us right at the very end. We looked so strong throughout the first half of that race. But in the end, it's only going to be, what, P5 when all is said and done. That is heartbreaking.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
The Mercedes team pulled out a fantastic performance today. They should be proud. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, keeping their tyre temperatures up in the tricky wet conditions was really important. There's not much grip out there at the best of times, and it's 10 times worse if you're out there on cold tyres. So the way they kept the rubber in its proper operating window was a huge advantage today.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. More points for Valtteri Bottas, further solidifying his lead at the top of the table. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
It's an interesting one today. On balance, I think I have to call out Alexander Albon. A really solid drive from him today, and one that he and his team should be proud of.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Well, that was certainly an incredible weekend of racing. Be sure to join myself and Ant for more exciting Formula One action soon.
So, a lot to be learnt then from the Italian Grand Prix. Hamilton, though, picks up his second race victory in a row, and certainly one that I think he's quite surprised. Bearing in mind he only led, what, 4 laps at the end of the day there. Vettel comes through for P2 ahead of Verstappen, Bottas, George and myself. But yeah, we've learned our lesson that we don't run wide off the exit of Ascari there. But yeah, just heartbreaking when you look at the fact that really we should be trying to at least beat Ferrari and Mercedes now, and we still come 5th and 6th at the end of the day. Does go to show just how much more this team has got before we're ready to fight for World Championships there. Charles Leclerc 7th ahead of Raikkonen. Albon having a good day out, up into 9th ahead of Kvyat there with Stroll, Sainz, Perez and Ocon just missing out on the points when all is said and done there. Further down the order, no real surprises. Ricciardo down in 19th is certainly not what he would have wanted at the end of the day. But Nicholas Latifi, mate, you've been removed off my Christmas card list. Really, I should be blaming Mercedes and their reliable engines for that. But yeah, just not happy when all is said and done. Hamilton now only 12 points behind us once again after that good result. But Georgie does move himself up now into 7th place overall ahead of Charles Leclerc and Esteban Ocon. If he gets past Perez, then I'll be quite happy by the end of the year there. But after the last 2 races, the gap to Bottas has remained even. We've got 7 races to go this season. We've got 38 points to try and close up. It's not impossible, but it's going to be a very, very difficult challenge. Thank you all so much for watching, though. Nonetheless, make sure you do get yourself subscribed if you want to see more of our F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. And yeah, we will hopefully be back tomorrow, ready for the Singapore Grand Prix. It's going to be an intense one. Let's see what we can do. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.